What if I told you the things you throw away every day could become the most magical part of your garden? This isn't about fancy tools or expensive materials. It's about imagination, care, and a little creativity. In today's video, I'll show you 10 DIY garden ideas that transform ordinary trash into extraordinary beauty, inspired by the European countryside. You'll find timestamps below, so feel free to skip to what sparks your interest. And if something inspires you, share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Welcome to Backyard Fortune, a place where we believe beauty is built, not bought. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But behind this content is a real family, sharing real dreams. Every like, every comment, every subscribe keeps this vision alive. When you choose to hit that button, you're not just supporting a creator, you're helping a small family's hope grow, one click at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing me. One, Radiant Bottle Blossom Garden Wall. Imagine stepping into a European courtyard where the ordinary is reborn into something extraordinary. Here, bottles once destined for the bin shine again, turned into blossoms that never fade. Their petals catch the light in shades of cornflower blue, golden yellow, and soft blush, glowing like stained glass against a whitewashed wall. At their feet, lavender and daisies sway gently, filling the air with fragrance while grapevines weave playfully between the blooms. The wall hums quietly with bees, and in that moment, you see not trash, but a canvas of renewal. In another corner, larger blossoms made from bright cobalt, crimson, and sunshine yellow bottles rise proudly on tall green stems. They stand like guardians of the garden, framed by climbing roses and surrounded by pots of geraniums and basil. The colors are vivid, yet they feel as natural as the midday sun warming terracotta tiles beneath your feet. A basket of apples and pears rests casually nearby, reminding you that beauty in the garden often shares its space with nourishment and memory. And then, perhaps the most enchanting of all, a narrow pergola lined with bottle blossoms in pastel hues of mint, lilac, and peach. The walkway is shaded by wooden beams wrapped in vines, their leaves filtering sunlight into a mosaic of shifting golds and greens. Condensation clings to the bottles like morning dew, proof of the material's second life. Beneath, strawberries spill from raised beds while rosemary and chamomile tuck themselves between stones. It feels alive, as if the garden is breathing with you, each step carrying you deeper into a fairy tale written in recycled glass. What makes these ideas so powerful is not just their charm, but their accessibility. Anyone can collect bottles, cut and shape them, and watch as sunlight transforms them into radiant petals. The magic lies in the details, the texture of the plastic, the scuffs of past use, the imperfections that make each flower unique. By weaving them into your garden alongside living plants, you create not only decoration, but a story of care, imagination, and renewal. And the truth is simple, once you see bottles bloom like this, you'll never see them the same way again. Two, Rustic Tin Can Lantern Path. As twilight settles over the countryside, the garden begins to tell a quieter story, one written not in blooms, but in light. Along a cobblestone path, recycled tin cans transformed into lanterns glow softly, their pierced patterns scattering stars and leaves across the ground. The warm flicker of candlelight plays against lavender and rosemary, while grapevines weave overhead on a rustic trellis. Every petal that has drifted onto the stone seems to catch the glow, and the whole path feels like an invitation to linger just a little longer. Elsewhere, rows of lanterns painted in gentle cream and sage dangle from iron shepherd's hooks. Their light spills onto beds of thyme and marigolds, catching the uneven mossy stones beneath. A stone cottage stands nearby, its walls cloaked in ivy that shimmers gold in the last rays of afternoon sun. There is something deeply comforting in this scene, humble materials reshaped with patience into tiny beacons that whisper of warmth and welcome. Further on, the garden opens into an orchard where old tin cans shine once more, this time with delicate floral patterns punched into their sides. Some lanterns rest directly on the ground, others hang from wooden posts, but together they create a rhythm of light that leads the eye between rows of pear and grape trees. Clover and daisies gather at the edges, glowing faintly in the lantern light, as if they too are part of the story. It feels both magical and grounded, as though one could walk there on any autumn evening and hear the faint rustle of leaves, the murmur of wind, and the steady heart of a garden alive with care. And that is the true charm of these lanterns. They are simple to make, yet endlessly enchanting. With nothing more than an old can, a nail, and a small flame, you create not only illumination, but atmosphere. A path becomes more than a walkway, it becomes a memory, a gathering place, a piece of European countryside magic reborn from what once was forgotten. Terracotta brick herb terrace garden. There is something timeless about the way old terracotta bricks find new life in the garden. Stacked into gentle terraces, their moss-kissed edges cradle herbs that spill freely, softening every line. Rosemary, sage, and thyme breathe fragrance into the air, while marigolds and chamomile bloom between the cracks. A wooden bench waits quietly with a wicker basket of fresh clippings, and butterflies hover in the warm morning light. It feels less like a design and more like a memory, a small corner where earth and craft meet in harmony. On a hillside, curved tiers of bricks rise like a staircase for plants, each level holding parsley, mint, and lavender. Strawberries tumble down the edges, their ruby fruits glowing against the weathered clay. The bricks themselves are flecked with lichen, their age adding to the sense of permanence. Beyond, a vineyard stretches across rolling hills, vines heavy with leaves and promise. The midday sun touches everything with clarity, from the soil beneath your feet to the soft petals scattered by the breeze. It's a living picture of countryside abundance, built with nothing more than patience and a pile of old bricks. As the day drifts toward evening, the terrace changes again. Golden light warms the steps, where kale, oregano, and thyme grow between asters and pansies. Terracotta pots sit casually to the side, watering cans rest near a wall draped in ivy, and the whole space feels calm, tended, and loved. Every brick carries texture, every plant a story. This is the gift of a terracotta herb terrace. It does not try to be perfect, yet it becomes unforgettable. With simple, reused materials and a willingness to layer soil upon soil, you create not only a garden, but a sanctuary where the rhythm of nature and the patience of your hands are written into every step. Rustic wooden crate garden planters. There's a quiet beauty in giving wooden crates a second life. Once used to carry fruit and wine, their weathered sides now cradle rows of tender greens, lettuce, kale, parsley, and even strawberries that cascade over the edges. Ivy trails softly, daisies nod in the breeze, and a scattering of petals lies across the cobblestones, as if nature itself approved of this simple transformation. Against the whitewashed wall of a cottage, the crates glow in the morning light, reminding us that abundance can come from the humblest of vessels. Arranged in tiers, the crates become more than planters. They turn into a vertical garden alive with fragrance and color. Rosemary and thyme fill the air with spice, marigolds burn brightly at the edges, and small pots of basil and lavender rest inside crates standing upright like shelves. Pansies and chamomile spill below, and butterflies flit lazily between blooms. A rustic bench nearby invites you to sit with a woven basket of apples, to breathe in the scents and let the moment linger. It feels like a corner of the countryside designed for both beauty and usefulness. And along a gravel path, crates lined in a row carry sturdier crops, cabbages with full green heads, ruby red beets with their proud leaves, and mint spilling down to meet the earth. Moss clings to the crate edges, softening the wood, while climbing roses bloom richly in the background. A watering can rest close, as though just set aside after the morning's tending. Fallen leaves mix with petals, and the afternoon light turns everything golden. This is the heart of rustic gardening, where nothing is wasted, and every object finds a way to nurture life again. Five, bamboo vineyard garden fence. There is a natural grace in the way bamboo can shape a vineyard into something both practical and poetic. A simple fence, tied with jute rope, stands firm yet gentle, guiding grapevines heavy with fruit as they weave themselves upward. Clusters of deep purple grapes hang low, their weight a sign of the season's generosity. Beneath them, rosemary, sage, and marigolds take root between mossy stones, their fragrance mingling with the warm air. The afternoon sun slips through the leaves, scattering patterns of light and shadow across the earth, as if the vineyard itself were breathing. Further along, bamboo poles cross one another in weathered X shapes, supporting the endless rows of vines. Morning dew sparkles on each leaf, and small bunches of grapes sway at eye level. Ivy curls around the base of the posts while chamomile blossoms sway lightly in the breeze, adding gentle touches of white among the green. A gravel path runs beside, dotted with fallen petals, leading the eye toward rolling hills that glow softly in the distance. It's a picture of patience, showing how structure and nature can work hand in hand. As evening falls, the bamboo glows golden in the fading light. The ropes that bind the poles feel timeless, and the vines that climb them seem to whisper stories of harvests long past. Around the base, thyme and kale grow quietly, while asters bloom with soft hues that mirror the sky. Fallen leaves scatter across the cobblestones, and a wicker basket filled with pears and figs rests nearby, ready to be carried home. This fence is not only a boundary, it is a stage for life itself, where food, beauty, and tradition entwine in the spirit of a European countryside fairy tale. Six, seashell and mirror mosaic garden wall. There's something magical about a wall that tells a story, not with paint or carvings, but with fragments of what was once forgotten. Seashells, worn smooth by the sea, and shards of mirror, once ordinary household glass, come together on a curved garden wall that glistens in the soft morning light. Lavender sways gently nearby, daisies open their white faces to the sun, and ivy makes its steady climb, softening the edges. At the base, terracotta pots of rosemary and thyme rest against mossy stones, their fragrance mingling with the fresh air. The whole setting feels as though it belongs in a living fairy tale, enchanted yet entirely real. By afternoon, the mosaic wall takes on another character. Broken mirrors, shells, and ceramic fragments catch the light, flashing glimpses of the garden around them. Grapevines heavy with fruit, roses in bloom, asters bright against the cobblestone path. Petals scatter naturally across the stones, and a wooden bench with a wicker basket of apples waits nearby. The wall shimmers like stained glass, but it is rustic and rooted in the earth, proof that beauty can rise from what others might discard. And as evening settles, the golden sun sets the wall aglow. Its seashells gleam like jewels, its mirror pieces sparkle with fire, and ivy trails across with green and bronze leaves. Around it, pansies, marigolds, and creeping thyme create a lively carpet of color, while butterflies hover above, lingering in the last warm light. Each detail, stone, shell, plant, and glass, is sharp, tangible, and authentic, combining to form an atmosphere both enchanting and grounded. It is not just a wall, but a canvas of memory and imagination, transforming a simple garden corner into a European countryside fairy garden alive with story and spirit. Seven, colorful tire planter carousel. In the heart of a European-inspired garden, even the most ordinary objects can be reborn into something extraordinary. Here, a carousel of painted tires becomes a lively stage for nature's display. Bright sunflower yellow, rustic red, and sky blue tires are transformed into planters brimming with kale, strawberries, and marigolds. Set upon cobblestones, with fallen leaves and petals scattered like confetti, the scene feels playful yet grounded, glowing softly under the afternoon light that filters through vineyard trellises in the background. Elsewhere, stacked tires in pastel hues of lavender, peach, and mint green take on a gentler tone. They cradle herbs like thyme and mint, their leaves spilling gracefully over the rims, while pansies burst into cheerful bloom. Butterflies flit through the air, hovering above a wicker basket of pears and a simple watering can, ordinary tools that feel almost poetic against the vivid colors and living textures of this cottage corner. Every detail, from the cracks in the tires to the natural spread of the plants, tells a story of reuse and renewal. At the center of another garden space, a whimsical carousel of tires arranged in a circle becomes a lush planter for cabbages, carrots, and chamomile. Moss grows between the cobblestones at its base, while daisies surround it like a gentle chorus. Behind, apple trees sway lightly in the breeze and ivy creeps along an old stone wall, framing the view in timeless beauty. It is a place where nature and imagination meet, where what was once waste now sings with new purpose, an everyday fairy tale anyone can create at home. Eight, vintage suitcase garden bloom bench. In the heart of a European countryside, even forgotten objects find a second chance at life. A vintage suitcase, once a silent witness to countless journeys, is now reborn as a vessel of blooms. On a wooden bench, its open lid cradles pansies, strawberries, and ivy that spills gently over the edges, softening the weathered leather with nature's touch. Fallen rose petals scatter across the cobblestones, while a wicker basket filled with grapes and apples rests beside, echoing a life of abundance and care. The backdrop of a whitewashed stone cottage, kissed by climbing roses, turns the moment into a fairy tale morning that feels both timeless and real. Elsewhere, a mossy bench beneath a cherry tree offers another kind of serenity. Here, the same humble suitcase becomes a garden of herbs and marigolds, their fragrance mingling with the evening air. A crocheted blanket, casually left at the bench's edge, hints at quiet moments of rest, while butterflies dance lazily in the fading light. Beyond, vineyards unfurl across rolling hills, glowing gold as the sun dips lower, creating a scene that feels painted yet alive. And in a hidden courtyard, two stacked suitcases whisper stories of travel long past, their weathered leather softened by moss. From within spring daisies, lavender, and ornamental cabbages, their colors alive against the muted tones of age. Ivy curls lovingly around the corners, while terracotta pots of herbs stand as companions. A stone path meanders through, guiding the gaze past blossoms and into the soul of the cottage garden. It is proof that even what was once discarded can become the heart of something magical, inviting us to see beauty not in perfection, but in transformation. Nine. Musical utensil wind chime wall. In the quiet embrace of a European countryside garden, even forgotten kitchen utensils can find a second voice. Spoons, ladles, forks, and teacups once destined for the back of a cupboard now sway gently in the breeze, transformed into whimsical wind chimes. Their soft clinking mixes with the hum of bees and the rustle of ivy climbing a weathered stone wall, creating a melody that feels both nostalgic and alive. Beneath them, terracotta pots of rosemary and thyme release their fragrance each time you brush past, while daisies and marigolds add a cheerful brightness to the cobblestone path. In another corner, the chimes dangle from a wooden beam beneath a grapevine pergola, where golden leaves filter sunlight like stained glass, casting dancing shadows across chamomile and lavender in bloom. The metallic shimmer of utensils catches the light as they sway, as if whispering stories of meals shared and lives lived. It's a simple transformation, strings, hooks, and imagination, but the effect is magical. What was once ordinary cutlery becomes a playful chorus of sound and sparkle, weaving joy into the fabric of the garden. Here, pumpkins nestle among asters, ivy stretches lazily along the wall, and fallen leaves scatter across the earth. The garden doesn't just grow food and flowers, it sings, reminding us that beauty and creativity often come from giving new life to the things we thought were finished. Ten. Burlap and rope fairy tale greenhouse. In the heart of a European countryside garden, where time seems to linger gently, stands a greenhouse unlike any other. It is not crafted from glass and steel, but from the humblest of materials, old burlap sacks and sturdy rope. Bamboo poles and weathered wooden beams frame its shape, their knots tied with care, holding together a structure that feels both fragile and enduring, like a story passed down through generations. Morning sunlight pours across its burlap roof, casting golden shadows that dance over rows of tender greens. Inside, parsley, spinach, kale, and even alpine strawberries thrive in raised beds, their leaves glistening with dew. Clay pots of herbs dangle from twine, their fragrance weaving into the air, rosemary sharp and clean, thyme soft and earthy. Around the greenhouse, life spills outward in every direction. Terracotta pots brim with lavender and daisies, while marigolds burst with fiery color near the mossy stones. Apple trees lean nearby, their branches heavy with ripening fruit, while grapevines curl naturally up the ropes and ivy creeps across the frame. The cobblestone path that runs alongside is scattered with fallen petals, glowing softly in daylight, a reminder of nature's effortless artistry. Butterflies drift lazily through the scene, wings flickering like brushstrokes across a living canvas. It is a space born of resourcefulness, where discarded fabric and rope are reborn into shelter for life. More than just a greenhouse, it is a reminder that beauty doesn't demand perfection, only imagination and care. Anyone with a few simple tools and the patience of a gardener could create such a place, where practicality and poetry meet in every detail. Standing before it, you cannot help but feel the presence of a real-life fairy tale, crafted by hands that saw possibility in what others called waste. And that's our journey today. 10 DIY garden ideas that prove trash can truly become treasure. These aren't just projects, they're ways to bring magic back into your everyday space. Which idea was your favorite? Could you see yourself trying one of these in your own backyard? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If this inspired you, hit like, subscribe, and keep creating with us. Because together, we can turn even the simplest things into something extraordinary.